Was it Andy Warhol that said everybody's going to have a podcast for 10,000 hours? Well, now I have one.
Says what he wants, but he's uncontradicted. When it comes to boxers, the briefs, he's a little bit conflicted. Walks the streets of Atlanta, he's totally unrestricted. He's a man of conviction, but he's never been convicted.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Man of Conviction. My name is Matthew Gosson, and I will be your host. This podcast is going to be me talking to people in the TV and film industry, from stand-up comics to crew members, from actors to editors, and when no one else is available, I'll talk to my friends and family. My next guest is Amanda Estremera. I met her editing on Suave Says, a short-lived VH1 documentary about Rico Suave. She's a very interesting gal, grew up in France, and has a house in Thailand, and is a Buddhist. Very cool gal. I really appreciate her coming by to talk to me, and I'm going to bring you that interview right after this musical break. All right, we are here with Amanda Estremera.
Yes.
An editor who I met about 4 years ago or so, and we've kept in touch, and I wanted to talk to her for the show. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's fun.
So I guess let's start with your introduction into the business at all. Like how did you find yourself into this crazy business?
So it was serendipitous. I didn't seek it out. I moved to New York, and while I was in New York, I started teaching French in a school. And after a while, I taught media literacy. I taught kids how to make sense of the media. I didn't have any background in that. I just read curriculums, figured it out, and told the director of the school, I think media literacy is really important for kids.
Absolutely.
And one day I was at the school with a filmmaker who was helping us make little films for the kids.
Right.
And he was working on the Avid. And I remember very distinctly standing above him, looking down at the Avid. And it was like I got struck by the colors on the keyboard and how that was translating to the screen. And I fell in love. I thought, I have to know how he's doing this.
Right.
This is just incredible. It felt like magic. And that summer, I spent, I think it was about 3 months going to, because I was a teacher, I had the summer off. So I went to an Avid rental place,
right,
and used a tutorial. And I went every day for hours and went through the tutorial. And at the end of those 3 months, I was able to cut a little film together on the Avid.
Amazing.
And that's how I got started.
Just blind ambition.
Yeah, just falling in love with the machine. And my parents had always been worried about me because I went from one job to the other, never being able to settle on anything. And editing was really the first career I've had. And I've had other careers, but it's really the one that I stuck with the longest,
right,
and I became the more professional at. Yeah.
And so how long have you been doing it?
It's been since I came to LA so I would say at this point, it's probably about 18 years. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God, it just feels like yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I recall, you have a house in Thailand?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes, I remember hearing that.
Yeah,
and
I
think,
remember that, yeah.
This gal has figured it out.
So what happened is that I think it was about 2003, I started going to Thailand. I mean, it's a longer story than that, but I basically decided that I wanted a big change in my life. And so I sold everything, packed up my stuff, and went to Thailand for a while and completely fell in love with the place, especially a small bay called Hat Tien in the island of Koh Phangan. And I started going there regularly and as a freelance. editor, what I was able to do is work for a few months and then travel the rest of the time. So for a while, I was working 4 to max 6 months a year, and then spending the rest of the time on my savings in a hut in Thailand.
Wow.
Yeah.
I imagine that money goes a long way there.
That money goes, and my house, I had it built by local craftsmen. It cost me nothing to live there. And so I was able to just live the life for the longest time.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah.
And you still have the house.
I still have the house. I have a friend who's living in there. It's jungle law. So at this point, when I come back, I haven't been back in a couple of years. I got married. I have a business. So, but, when I go back, we'll see if I can still stay at the house. I'll tell her, hey, I'm back and I stay for a while because we're going in May.
So
Yeah.
someone's there, and it's possible that they're like, yeah, jungle
Yeah,
law.
it's kind of there's now. I mean, she's been living there for a long time now, and I built the house, but I don't have any paperwork. I don't really have. There's no such thing as ownership on this, hippie island I was living at, and I'm cool with that.
Sure.
It's just when I go back, I'd love to spend some time in my house. So
I'm
I'll
sure
just-
they'll let you,
Yeah,
right?
I'll just tell her, hey, can we work something out?
Is
Yeah.
this another expat or?
Yeah, on Koh Phangan, at least on Hat Tien, where our houses are and where we all live, is mostly expats. People who just wanted a change, hippies, yogis, a lot of yogis, artists, a lot of people who did what I did, like work in the West, as we call it, a few months a year, and then escape the matrix for a while. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of meditation going on, I'm sure.
A lot. I mean, that's why I went, actually. The first time I went because I wanted to go on a meditation retreat and just find myself, I suppose. And Thailand seemed like a good place to do it.
Super jealous of the jungle retreat.
Yeah.
That's that's pretty great.
Yeah.
So you were not married when we last.
No. So I met my husband about 3 years ago. And we got married a year and a half ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So far,
yeah.
so good?
So far, so good. I wonder why I didn't do that before, because it's pretty awesome being married.
like having a partner.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
crime.
and a long-time partner,
Yeah.
right? I think because of, I know why, mostly because I was traveling all the time, and it's difficult to establish relationships that last a few 6 months. I would meet guys here, and they'd be like, what do you mean you're going to be in Thailand for 6 months? And then I'd meet a guy in town and be like, what do you mean you're going back to the States for 6 months? So, it never worked out.
They had to be short-term relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Which was fine for a while, but yeah.
is your husband in the business too?
Not at all.
Oh, excellent.
Not at all. He has a company. He has an environmental supply company. So what he does is he does dispensers for hotels. So hotels stop using those little bottles.
Right.
He's responsible for, I think, 15 million little bottles not going into the ocean.
Oh, fantastic.
So I'm super proud of him
That's
for that.
awesome.
Yeah. He's way ahead of the curve because the Radisson just announced they're coming out with dispensers. And he's had his business for a long time.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would seem easier just to bulk fill dispensers, wouldn't
but,
it?
But people, like customers, have this perception that it's not as
Clean or something.
fancy or clean if you are using a dispenser. So people just need to get out of that notion, and they're starting to now. Yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
When you tell people I'm an editor or I've worked on, what are like your top 3 that you throw out?
The top 3 would be Flint Town for Netflix, Diagnosis also for Netflix, and a documentary called The Invocation about God and world peace that I did years ago.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
So we met on a show called Suave Says,
That's right.
following Rico Suave
Yes.
around in his life between Ecuador and Texas? No, Southern California, I think they were.
Yeah, I don't even know where he was.
That didn't last. That show did it.
Can I drink
Oh
wine
yeah,
while we
take
talk?
a break.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can. Yeah, easily
Sorry,
cut this
everybody. He'll probably cut it out. He's an editor. So Suave Says, I think it was only, one season or just a pilot?
out. I think it was a season.
It was a season.
I think so. I
Oh.
think it aired at some point. I remember like working on episode 4, and I remember jumping between
okay.
different. I think it. Yeah, I know there were several episodes, and I was
Okay.
jumping between them.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
must have
yeah,
just
yeah.
been a first run, a first
Yeah,
season.
yeah. I thought maybe it was just a pilot. I wasn't on there for a very long time.
And I saw your last name, and I was like, oh, must be a Spanish gal. So,
Right.
and I'm married to a Spanish woman, so I was like, oh, I went over there, and you're like, nope. And
Not
you're like,
quite.
but I speak French, and I was like, aha.
That's right.
And we spoke a little French, and that was the first foreign language I learned, and that was fun. We vibed over that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
And
yeah.
that's a fun place, 51 Mines. I would love to get back over there and do some stuff. I was just across the street from there today, looking up at that
got
building
it.
there. And I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
very centrally located for me living here.
For
in the
you,
valley.
that would be cool.
Oh, I would love to work there.
Yeah. Where are you right now?
Right now, I'm here. I'm doing a couple projects out of my own house here. I'm working on this show called Let's Get Sweat. It's
Okay.
it's called it's like Between Two Ferns 3-minute talk show
Okay.
with this comedian who is doing a character. She's basically doing like her Russian mother,
Okay.
and it's all done in a spa, and she's
Got it.
and she's completely naked, but not really.
Right.
And- And she has comedians in tight, sweaty situations interviewing them. And
yeah.
so we shot some of those, and we're shooting some more, and I'm editing those as well.
Very cool.
And then I'm working on this Stand Up for Pits Foundation is a pit bull advocate group, and
yeah.
they're having a gala of some kind, and I'm cutting these video pieces
Okay.
that are going to be played into that.
Oh, you're lucky to be working from home.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do end up pacing around the backyard and hitting golf balls and stuff instead of editing.
Right.
But
yeah, that might happen.
but
yeah.
but you're right. I can wear my slippers or my underwear if I want, and just
Yeah.
not even, which is true.
I wear my slippers at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember you had a cool footstool that you.
Yeah.
that you had.
The step thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a cool one. It's great when you have standing desks.
For
as
sure.
editors, right now I don't. It's okay, but I prefer to have a standing desk. I stand whenever I can.
What are you working on now?
I'm working on. Am I allowed to talk about it? I guess I am. It's a documentary series for Oxygen about the Jehovah's Witnesses, but sexual abuse cover up in the Jehovah's Witness religion,
Wow,
and there's quite a bit going on.
interesting. My
Yeah.
my neighbor is a Jehovah's
Yeah,
Witness.
and then they're really lovely people. My mom was a Jehovah's Witness. I was partly raised in the religion. I never really abided by it, but my mom had me go to the meetings, and they're absolutely lovely people. So the rank and file Jehovah's Witness have no idea that that's going on. It's the organization that's covering it up.
Because they don't want anybody to. It's about reputation, probably.
It's about reputation. It's about not wanting people to leave the religion. It's about it's what every religions are doing.
I get confused with the Seventh-day Adventists and the Jehovah's
Right.
Witness. There's some similarities.
I think there is,
Yeah.
yeah. I think the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons are pretty much the only ones who really preach door to door.
Okay.
I don't think Seventh-day Adventists do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. It's quite a good series actually. It's the first season. Well, I don't know if there'll be another season because it's a journalist or reporter who's going around researching the case. So unless he has other cases to research, I don't know if he'll come back. But yeah, it's well done, well shot.
Yeah, I'd love to work on one of those docu-series type
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
different
Yeah,
animal.
and even within the docu-series genre, there's very different animals. So Flint Town, which was shot by 3 filmmakers, was very different than this is. This is more produced, and Film Town was a lot more verite-based.
Okay.
And for those of you who don't know what verite is, it's basically a way to film where you don't become intrusive. You basically, verite in French means truth. And so it's basically filming the truth. It's filming what's going on. So in documentaries, you have different genres that use verite in different ways. So you have some that are really fly on the wall, like Pennebaker was. And then you have people who do more produced type stuff where the producer will tell the talent to say a certain thing or do a certain thing, which you see a lot in reality TV.
Sure.
So it runs the gamut.
Yeah, true verite is, I'm here, but we do not interact.
That's correct.
You do not look at me. You agree that
I am a fly on the wall
Yeah.
as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's when you get some good stuff.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and really Flint Town is a beautiful example of that, where the filmmakers embedded with the police force in Flint, Michigan for over a year and just filmed. And they did interviews, but the interviews are beautifully done. And they were very unintrusive about it, which is beautiful. And at the same time, India Did Bay was very challenging because you get hours and hours and hours of footage, and some of the stuff is not airable. It might be interesting if you were there, but it's the trick, right? If you were not there, you still have to keep the audience interested.
You can't tell them, I swear it was really great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Field goggles.
Yeah, they come back with their eyes like, we got the most amazing stuff. It's like, you might have heard them saying that, but the camera wasn't on.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
And in the case of Flint Town, they did. I mean, those filmmakers were so incredibly talented. They did get beautiful footage. I mean, we had too much. I mean, the first screening for Netflix, one of their notes was, it looks a little too good.
Wow.
Because it was so well shot that it almost felt like it was not a documentary.
Too slick somehow.
Too slick a little bit, so we had to pull that back. And then over time, Netflix really, I think, saw the value in having this incredibly beautiful footage that was also very authentic. And then they let the filmmakers really just go for it and use their best stuff. And I don't know if you've seen it.
No, but I'm going to...
check out the first couple of episodes and beyond. I mean, you might get hooked. It's a really good show.
I'm in. No, I'm definitely going to watch it.
It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Have you gotten a chance to work on a feature?
No, I have not worked on any feature. I mean, feature documentaries, but not fiction.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 I luckily got a chance once. This editor I knew had been tasked to edit this feature that was half in Spanish, and she doesn't speak any Spanish. So we had just met, and she was like, "Oh yeah," and she called me and says, "It's like practically no money, but do you want to do it?" And I was like, "I don't know." But then I looked at the little sample reel that the DP shot, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I was like, I must be a part of this.
Yeah,
I'll
I got
pay
you.
you to be able to edit on this film.
Yeah.
And it's called Finding Sophia. And it's
Great title.
It's an interesting story about an American who gets lured down to, well, he sort of sends himself down to South America.
Okay.
And romantic craziness ensues. And
Okay.
it was really fun to work on. The director was super cool, and that was really the only feature I've ever got to work on.
So I've always wondered about features, if you have as much creative leeway as you have in documentaries or even reality, where, I mean, we're the boss in the Edit Bay when we work on documentaries or reality. I mean, not to an extent. I mean, we have story producers sometimes, but, we really get to craft a story. In a feature, isn't the story already pretty much crafted for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All the signposts are there. Then it's more about, do I start on the medium? Is this medium a better shot?
Right.
How's this performance in the close-up? Oh, we have
Sure,
6 takes.
sure.
So it's that kind of subtle
Got
choices come in. You're spending way more time on that.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Yeah.
Have you worked on any game shows?
No, but I worked on Dr. Phil. It was probably the closest.
Okay. I think we might know I know somebody who I worked with on the Keenan Ivory Wayans show, the post coordinator, Big
Rich
Fugate.
Rich Fugate,
Yep.
Great guy.
Yep.
Great guy. Yeah.
I worked with him on a couple different things. Yep.
He's been with Dr. Phil forever.
Yeah.
I think he's still there.
I ran into him in the store, like 10 years ago. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, yep, still
Yeah.
Phil.
Well, I mean, great union gig.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a great retirement.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good little gig.
For sure.
Yeah, I was working on it part time. It was actually mostly during my Thailand years. I would just do a Saturday shift. And I remember thinking that one Saturday shift was enough for me to live in Thailand for about a month.
Wow.
I used to, at the beginning when it was still very cheap, it got more expensive. But yeah.
So right now, in this place, this island. Tell me the name of the bay again.
Koh Phangan is the island, and
Koh Phangan?
Hat Tien is the island.
Hatien,
Yeah.
Koh Phangan. I've heard the name of that island for
Yeah.
sure. So say I went there, showed up with $500 in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Could I live for a while?
Well, depending on where you stay on Koh Phangan, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find a place to just somebody's
To
lets me
crash, or
crash somewhere.
something.
like,
And then and get and buy cheap food and on the bay where we are is a little more complex because you kind of a captive audience. You need a boat to get there.
Okay.
And
Everybody knows you're coming.
Well, there's that, but like the food, you have to eat what's there, and it's not the cheapest food because it's a small bay.
Of course.
If you go to a larger place within Koh Phangan, then you can eat on the street, and it's going to cost you 10 cents. Maybe not 10 cents, but $1 for a meal or something. So we're a little bit in this place where, but you can make your own food. I used to
Yeah.
make my own food.
I went to Cambodia a while back and was charmed by that place. And,
Yeah.
And wow, the money went a long way.
Yes,
like
it would in Cambodia.
I think it was like $80 for this really nice hotel
Right.
in Phnom Penh. Really, so nice that when I flew to Siem Reap to see Angkor Wat, I just kept the hotel and kept my stuff there.
Oh, got it.
And then
Yeah.
went for a day and then came back, spent a full day.
Yeah,
I just kept the hotel because it was
so nice. Huh?
Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to get to Thailand and Vietnam, and I'd love
Yeah,
to,
those are great places. Yeah.
those languages fascinate me too. They seem like such a challenge, but I would love to totally try to dive in and figure those out.
For sure, for sure.
The point of this podcast, I would say, is an insider's guide to like the ins and outs of the business.
Yeah. I think that's a really good way to put it. I think I've been lucky. I've come out relatively unscathed from being in this business for so long, where most of my bosses have been pretty cool. The people I've worked with have been great. Competition hasn't been terrible, So I really, this perception that working in Hollywood or working in the biz is just this, scary, difficult thing. It has not affected me at all. I just have, worked hard and kind of kept my head down and, just rolled from one job to the next, So far, so good.
Just kind of going, wow, I can't believe they pay editors this much money.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, that still happens, especially at the beginning of my career where it was all very new. I just, and I loved it so much. There were so many days where I felt, I can't believe they're paying me for this. That's just insane,
Totally,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so and I sometimes still have that perception when I'm really in the zone and I'm cutting and I'm so into it. And then I remember, oh, they're going to pay me for this. Good money at the end of the week, it feels really great.
So you grew up in France?
Yeah, born and raised in Paris, France, yeah.
Where in Paris?
15th arrondissement, which is Sud, East.
When I stayed in I was in the 15e.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. I was Rue de la Convention.
Oh my God, that's very close to where I was
Félix
raised.
Faure.
Yes. Yeah, very close.
Yeah, that's where I stayed for the first time in Paris.
Oh, that's amazing.
The metro was Boucicaut.
Boucicaut, of course. Yeah. We were Metro Ballard, so it's just
Ballard.
like,
two down.
Two down.
Right by I would go to the movies at Ballard. All the old movies are down there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
super.
that's really great.
That was my first introduction to Europe was Paris, and I was in love right away. Girl, what a city, man! What a city!
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah,
it's fabulous. Yeah.
And then Madrid is my number two. I love my Madrid
when
too.
you met your wife there.
I did.
Yeah.
They remind me a lot of each other. Those cities, like two big European. Yeah. They have a similar.
Similar vibe.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I get that. Yeah. There's one thing that I can think of to talk about.
Please.
For people listening, especially if people who are possibly not in the business yet, the freelancing life. So I was talking to a girl last year who, she got her first, she used to be a receptionist where I worked.
Right.
And then she got a gig. She's really talented. And so she got her first chance at story editing as an assistant. And she was really excited about it, but she was really scared because of the freelance life. She was afraid that her next paycheck would not arrive. And that's something that I see a lot in the business when people want to get in this business, but they're concerned that they're not going to have a regular paycheck. And what I've experienced is that if you're working really hard and have the right connection because you're working hard, not because you're schmoozing necessarily, you're always going to have work. You know, and editors, if anybody is thinking, should I be an editor? Good editors are and probably will for a long time to come be in very high demand.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually a very secure job. This job security in being an editor. There's less so in being a producer or an executive producer. Editors, because it's technical and creative, it takes a particular skill to be an editor.
That's for sure.
And yeah, there's a demand for it. And I still think that it is a really great gig to get into.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to have a nice runs. You know, I was on the Tonight Show for almost 10
Yeah,
years.
you were, yeah.
Worked on the Osbournes and a few things. But lately, it's been pretty slow. I'm not getting many calls, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's maybe because you were on the Tonight Show for so long.
I think, and people are like, screw that guy.
Well, not really. It's just you have less connections I might have.
That's
because
true.
I've jumped from one show to every show you go, you meet new people.
That's true.
Right? The last gig I got was through a story producer that I worked on Flinttown and Diagnosis with.
Right.
And an executive producer I met on Diagnosis. So the more you jump around, the more you're going to meet people that are going to give you work.
Yeah, before the Tonight Show, I was, you know, sending work to friends constantly. I was getting calls so much.
Exactly.
I thought of I should be an agent. I'm getting so many calls.
So
and
that's the danger of, so, you know, here's the other thing with freelancing. It's very tempting to stay on the same gig forever. It's fine if Dr. Phil could get canceled tomorrow. I know editors who've been on Dr. Phil forever. Well, they're not going to have any contacts if it gets canceled tomorrow.
That's true.
It's one of those things where I have a friend, Fernanda, brilliant editor. She has been on a lot of shows that are long run, but she'll manage when she has a break or at night, wherever, to grab other gigs.
I think I know her. She's from Brazil.
Yeah, she is. Yeah,
I know her.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
Yeah.
And she, you know, she has an incredible resume. You should interview her, by the way.
I should.
Yeah, she has an incredible, and she lives close by.
Oh, super. I'm
She
going to do it.
Yeah, she has an incredible resume, and it's partly because she's super talented, of course, but also because she is always jumping from when she has, you know, she was on Top Model for 10 years or so. But during hiatus and at night, she would sometimes take other gigs. So then she padded her resume and she knows a lot of producers.
Yep.
So that's something that's really important to do, to not get complacent if you have a long-term gig.
That's
because
true.
you'll then lose your contacts. And as a freelancer, your contacts are pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I would be... I mean, I knew I was going to take some time off after the Tonight Show. And, you know, I got work and stuff, but it was way slower than I thought it was going to be.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Let me say thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
For stepping in and I just asked you like last week and you agreed to do this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really glad to do it. Yeah.
So thanks again. Do you want to plug anything? Do you want to give anybody your social media?
Well, you know what I'd like to plug is that I have a business.
Please, tell me.
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I started a business developing non-toxic products for the home because I have a health history of cancer. And at some point, I looked around my house, decided to detox everything, and I didn't know where to start. I was like, oh my God, where am I going to start? I have to change everything. And so I started with what's the most important when my skin is at its most vulnerable. And so I decided, okay, let's start there. So I started with towels, because when you come out of the shower and your pores are open, what a lot of people don't know is that you grab a towel full of formaldehyde and toxic dyes, and that's how you start your day. It's like, okay, I'm going to start there. So we have a line of towels that are completely chemical-free, bamboo and organic cotton.
Wow.
And I started a business called Towel, True Organic Wise Living. And we are promoting the use of non-toxic product, but also mindful living. And then that comes from my Buddhist not heritage, but I'm a converted Buddhist. And so we are blending spirituality with mindful living in the home.
Awesome.
So, and going back to freelancing, it's really great to freelance because I'm able to, when I'm not working on a gig, I'm focusing on my business, which I've done a lot of. We just launched the new business towel like last month.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Formaldehyde. I don't want to rub formaldehyde
There is
into
a
my
lot of
pores.
formaldehyde in towels. There's a lot of toxic dyes. And part of the business is very much about educating people.
Yeah.
Because most people don't know that. And most people, it's like what organic food was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
People just didn't know. What do you mean there's pesticides in my food? Well, what do you mean there's pesticide in your towels? Yes, there is. Yeah, much more than you might think so.
Wow.
So, yeah, if anybody's curious, it's wisetowel.com. Wise like the owl. The owl is our spirit animal. It's our logo.
Wise Towel.
Yeah, wisetowel.com.
Very
Yeah,
cool
check
name.
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Check that out, people.
Yeah.
All right, Amanda. Thanks. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Matthew.
And
A bientôt.
a bientôt.
All right.
That was Amanda Estremera, editor, entrepreneur, freelancer, Buddhist, all around cool gal. Really appreciate her showing up. Next week, I'm going to have a couple on the show from the East Coast, Devin Hume and Abby Koshak. They made a movie called Making a Killing with Christopher Lloyd and Sally Kirkland and Mike Starr and Michael Jai White. Really good flick. So, subscribe and tune in for that. I want to thank Daria Benedict for the opening and closing music. And please support this podcast through Patreon by going to manofconvictionpodcast.com and becoming a patron. Email me at manofconvictionpodcast@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram, Man of Conviction Pod, or on Facebook, Man of Conviction Podcast. And if you're still listening, maybe leave me a nice review. Thank you.
Says what he wants, but he's so contradicted. When it comes to boxers, the briefs, he's a little bit conflicted. Walks the streets of Atlanta, he's totally unrestricted. He's a man of conviction.